Hey my friends out in Forex land, Omar here with a short video about ProFx 3.0. Make this little introductory video to go with the written review I just did. By now a lot of you have probably read the written review and saw that I had some pretty nice things to say about it. I've been playing with this system for a little while now, and I like it. So this video will cover just the stuff that I mentioned in the review, give you kind of a visual reference to go with what I was talking about. So the first thing we can do is talk about the time information here on the right side. You can see that the blue is the currently open session, and it gives you local times for all the major markets, and on top of that it gives you the UTC time as well, so you always have that for a reference. These, so you don't have to look them up. They're handy to have at a glance. It also tells you how much time you have until a new bar forms. So essentially, if you're waiting for a new candle, you know exactly how much time there is. The setup I have at the moment is going to be what's called Intraday Plus, and that's the system where you take trades from the 30-minute chart after determining the trend on the 4-hour. Now, before we get to the actual signals part, let's go ahead and talk about this news display here. And you can see that it automatically puts up any news announcements. You can modify this to show low importance, medium importance, high importance, any combination of that. So it gives you an individual setting for each. As the news comes out, it displays whether it is better or worse than expected. Also with the last news and what it was expected before the news comes out. This can be very handy to have, as you should always keep an eye on what major news announcements are coming around the trading. So let's go ahead and talk about the features real quick of the actual signal part of ProFx. First of all, the first thing we ever need to do is we go to the 4-hour chart, and at a glance, the nice thing about ProFx is it's really easy to see the trend on the 4-hour. Why? Because it's color coded. So you can see all three trend lines are blue, and the last signal was blue. So here on the 4-hour, that shows an uptrend. So all we have to do then is wait for buy signals on the 30-minute, and you can see here that they are pretty good signals. You would enter here, and bada bing. You would enter here, and off you go. Now, obviously, not every single signal is going to work, but enough of them work to make some good profits on the system. So that's just one example. Now, the other system that it comes with is Intraday, and what that does is that removes the pivot points, so you can have essentially a clearer looking chart. If you don't want to use the pivot points. Now, along with the arrows, there is a little bit more confirmation. We have the multi-oscillator, which is a combination of a few different indicators, and then we have a trend strength score. So essentially, for a trade signal to be valid, remember we check it on the 4-hour, and then we just line up and make sure everything is blue. And you can see that it was. This will tell you that it is still in a strong trend. If this starts to go to white bars down here, you could give you a signal for an exit. Again, this is a great bunch of tools that you can apply in several different ways to trade. And we'll get on more depth that later. But let's go ahead and take a look at the swing system. The swing system is designed for higher time frames, higher than 1 hour, but from what I've seen, the 4-hour itself is actually a pretty good system. So to take 4-hour trades, again, you would just If you want to go with the trend, you would just go up to to the higher time frame, the daily or the weekly, and get your trend there. So you can see that recently it's been in a downtrend. We go back down to the 4-hour, and you can see that the sell signals, especially the last one, were very good. Remember, you had plenty of time to know that we were in a downtrend before we got to signal 2 and 3. Signal 1 here on the chart is probably where the 4-hour or the daily trend turned around. So you may not get that signal, but number 2 and number 3 here on the chart would have definitely produced some very nice pips. It also shows you counter trend signals as well, which I don't necessarily recommend. It's also got the swing oscillator down here. So that pretty much sums it up. It's a very easy system to use. The signals are very clear. Out of all the manual systems that I've had, this is one that I very much like, and I'm actually using, so we'll have my actual test results very soon. Until then, have a great time and make lots of pips in the market.